Even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society.
Hello and welcome. You're watching World 24/7 with me, Aditi Bhardwaj, and I will bring you up to speed with what's happening in Bangladesh, riots in UK, and other latest details from around the world. But first, let's begin with the top headlines. Bangladesh to get interim government today. Muhammad Yunus to take oath as chief advisor. Yunus will be arriving in Bangladesh for the oath ceremony tonight. In UK, thousands of counter-protesters rally after riots today. Anti-racism protesters rally after weeks of riots. Planned gatherings largely in UK at around 30 locations. So far, the gatherings have been peaceful. FBI arrests Pak national with Iranian ties. A Pak man charged for plotting to murder US politicians. Taylor Swift concerts in Vienna cancelled after fears of attack. And Vinesh Phogat posts on X announces retirement. Wrestler was disqualified from Paris Olympics for being overweight. Vinesh has appealed to International Court of Arbitration against her disqualification and has sought urgent hearing, appealing for 2 silvers. And viewers, it is a crucial day for Bangladesh as after 3 days of chaos and unrest following former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's ouster, today our neighbouring country will be getting a new interim government. Muhammad Yunus, who is a Nobel-laureate and enjoys the support of student leaders in the country, will be at the helm of affairs till elections take place in Bangladesh. The Nobel-winning microfinance pioneer has asked for calm in the country after weeks of violence in which at least 455 people were killed. Mr. Yunus is credited with lifting millions out of poverty in Bangladesh and will have the title of chief advisor. A Bangladesh court yesterday acquitted Mr. Yunus of a labor conviction on appeal. Mr. Yunus had travelled abroad earlier this year after he was sentenced to 6 months in jail for the labor charge, but was immediately bailed pending appeal. The case was criticised as politically motivated by rights watchdogs, including Amnesty International. Now, Mr. Yunus will head the interim government and take oath in the evening. But will peace, stability and democracy flourish in Bangladesh now? Or will the country witness more protest? To talk more about it, I am being joined by Riaz Ahmed, who is a journalist with the Dhaka Tribune. Thank you so much, Riaz, for joining us and speaking to us. Let's first talk about Mr. Yunus. He will be taking oath today as the chief advisor. Who all will be part of the interim government?
Thank you very much, Aditi, for having me this morning in your show. Yes, as you were right, just exactly said that Dr. Muhammad Yunus is all set to take over the charge of an interim government. He will be heading it. This far we know for sure. And he was traveling abroad, and by early afternoon today, he is expected to reach Dhaka. And for the new government to sworn in, the time has been fixed at 8 in the evening today. And most likely there will be a 15-member interim government which will be tasked with the responsibility of bringing peace and order in the country after the resignation of the earlier Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And after that, everybody in this country will be expecting the new government to bring peace and creating an environment where an election, free and fair election, fresh election of the parliament can take place in shortest possible time.
Right. And Riaz, there is a demand from the BNP as well that polls should be held as soon as, within 3 months. But seeing Muhammad Yunus, the support that he enjoys of the masses, will he be part of the new government that will form after the elections take place? And has BNP managed to win the trust of people? As we see that many student leaders, and there was a big chorus for Muhammad Yunus.
Yeah. Actually, as you just said regarding the BNP's demand, I mean, there is two issues here. One is, I mean, nobody in this country wants an unelected government in whatever form it is formed to continue for too long. On the other hand, and want an election to be held and politicians, political parties take part freely, and whoever the people choose come and constitute an elected government. But on the other hand, there is a huge question of creating an environment, a level playing field for everyone to take part freely, fairly, and that to happen, I mean, any new government, I mean, this interim government also, whether a 3-month time frame is realistic or not, that has to be seen, because on the context of institution building, I have said it in several other media as well, emphasizing that in Bangladesh for many years, people have lost faith in the capacity of the election commission, the police administration, and other bodies, the state's apparatus, institutions, because they were too much politicized over the years. And somehow they lost the credibility to function in a proper way in a democratic environment. That's why for Professor Yunus and his team, it will be the challenging moment to rebuild these institutions before going for an election. That election that we are actually in Bangladesh, everybody wants that we want to vote, exercise our voting rights free and fairly.
Certainly, and a fair demand after, witnessing 15-decade rule of Sheikh Hasina. And if we talk about Sheikh Hasina, Mr. Ahmad, what will happen to her? Her son has confirmed that she won't be returning to active politics. She is currently in India. What's next?
Okay. You see that her son has been giving interviews to so many international media over the last two days, and you and me definitely must have noticed that from his interviews, from the earliest one to the latest one, you'll see there is a gradual shift. As an initial reaction, he expressed utter disappointment, naturally so, about the prospect of his mother's return to politics, about his joining of politics, or his family's, Bangabandhu's family's playing any more role in the political landscape of Bangladesh. These were the initial reactions. But afterwards, if you get a chance to listen to his one of the last interviews he has given, he showed a kind of a resilience. I mean, he said that it's not necessarily the end of Awami League, the party his mother has been spearheading since 1981. So there is every likelihood that after coming over with the initial shocks, the party's leadership, Sheikh Hasina is the supreme leader of the party, but not necessarily. It does. It must be having an array of other leadership. So they will try to reorganize and reassess the whole thing, how it happened, why it happened. They will have a soul searching first, and then they will try to reorganize and
But certainly,
definitely.
Mr. Ahmed, also the major challenge that the interim government and the new government, if formed after the elections, will be to restore peace. Will the interim government
Exactly.
manage to restore it? Because we saw Muhammad Yunus also saying that there is a need to make a place calm, and even Khaleda Zia also appealed for the people to remain calm and composed and restore stability in the region. Do you think it is possible?
It is possible and it has to be. I mean, the peace has to be restored. This all happened, I think, in my assessment, there were over a month of, so many violent incidents involving the police force, excessive use of the force on the part of the state, and on the other hand, there were students groups, and when something happened in such a big magnitude, there are always the opportunists, some vested quarter groups,
Right.
thugs, the dacoits, and who not take part in such vandalism and things like that. And particularly in between August 5 and this day, today, there has been no specific, the power was the best. The army chief definitely has said that we are taking the charge for the time being. Still, an interim government is formed. So
Certainly. Well, that
in
remains
between
the
there
big
were,
challenge, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you so much for joining us and throwing light on what will happen, what's the future of Bangladesh. And tonight will be the oath ceremony where Mr. Muhammad Yunus will be taking oath. Meanwhile, my colleague Vishnu Shom also held a discussion over what is the situation like in Bangladesh and what it means for India. Take a look.
Syed Badrul Ehsan, is there a purge, to the best of your knowledge, taking place within the Bangladesh Army, the Bangladesh Police, and members of and within the Awami League?
Those are the reports that we are getting. That there has been a purge. There is a purge going on.
No. So what do we mean by a purge? Are we talking about people being detained? Are we talking about people losing their jobs, or are we talking about worse?
Well, not exactly. People are not being detained as such, but they are being transferred to different areas of the military. And we have a new IGP, Inspector General of Police, who has just taken over. He has met the president, and he just made a statement. So I wouldn't say that the word purge here signifies some large-scale changes or radical changes. It's just a change of people in different positions, people who may have been loyal to the government that is no more there. So I think they're trying to bring in a new set of people in order to ensure that security and stability return to the country, which, as you pointed out, that situation is not very good at this point of time.
And what about supporters of Sheikh Hasina? I mean, are they being targeted? Members of the Awami League, are they being detained? Is there sort of people avenging themselves in a sense?
Yes, they are on the run. The Awami League as a political party is clearly in a shambles, and there have been reports that in the interior of the country. Now we basically have reports in the local media in Dhaka focusing on the urban areas, Dhaka and other cities. But the reports that we are getting from within the country is that Awami League supporters are being targeted. A good number of people have been loyalists, Awami League local leaders and political activists. They have been killed or wounded. Most of them are on the run. So the situation is not good. And in the last couple of days, which you might know, in fact, yesterday, two ministers of the former government who tried to leave the country, they were apprehended at Dhaka airport, and they were detained, taken into under arrest by the military.
Nadeem Qadir, what's happening in terms of attacks on minorities? We hear that temples have been attacked, the homes of Hindus in Bangladesh have been attacked. Are these sporadic incidents or is there something larger?
Thank you so much. Well, I must say that today the situation is much better as far as attacks on temples, but there were reports of attacks on churches. So it indicates it's a very planned kind of attacks going on, but thank God that it was very bad yesterday and day before, but today things are calmer in all the sectors. So it did happen, but now I can say quite proudly about the students that they have spread around the country, and the local people, including the imams of the mosques, they are protecting the temples and churches.
Now, shifting our focus to the United Kingdom, left-wing anti-racism protesters rallied in North Finchley in London late Wednesday to counter far-right anti-immigrant agitators amid concerns of another night of violence across the country. Police anticipated more than 100 events, Britain's Press Association reported, citing a law enforcement source. Now, internet chat groups shared a list of agencies and law firms specializing in immigration as possible targets. But in parts of London, Bristol, Oxford and Birmingham, peaceful crowds of anti-racism protesters gathered in such large numbers that they either vastly outnumbered anti-immigrant agitators or there was no protest to counter. The head of London's Metropolitan Police Service said officers were focused on protecting immigration lawyers and services. In addition to thousands of officers already deployed, about 1,300 specialist forces were on standby in case of serious trouble in London. Some far-right activists argue online that immigration has fueled violence and crime in the country. For more, my colleague Paul Kelso is joining me for more details. Take a look.
Anti-racism protesters grow. There's lots of local groups, Birmingham, Stop Racism and Black Country group, and it has grown. Some groups of slightly younger people arriving, carrying this mix of placards, say no to racism, refugees are welcome here, and like some Free Palestine flags. We can see there's some crossover there. I can see a Revolutionary Communist Party flag, so it is a broad church, but it's all ages. I've seen some older folk as well as people perhaps more of student age, and perhaps all been looked on by members of the local community here. It should be said, but so far things are peaceful. And this protest, we're waiting that the far right was due. If that list on Telegram was anything to go by and was in any way reliable, the far right protesters were supposed to be here starting at 8 o'clock. There is no sign of that now, and what we have instead is quite an eloquent expression of Birmingham's distaste for the racist views and the far right views that have been expressed in various ways in recent days, and a very clear signal they wanted to protect the Migration and Refugee Centre that sits in those very modest offices in that building behind us. They wanted to protect it from any attack.
Now, a Pakistani man with ties to Iran has been charged over an alleged plot to assassinate US politicians and officials. FBI director called the scheme a dangerous murder-for-hire plot straight out of the Iranian playbook. Asif Merchant, who is a 46-year-old man, is accused of attempting to hire a hitman in New York to kill prominent American officials. Security for the Republican presidential nominee was increased in June after authorities learned of an Iranian plot to kill him. Mr. Merchant was arrested in July and is being held in New York. According to the Justice Department's indictment, Mr. Merchant arrived in the US from Pakistan in April after having spent time in Iran. After arriving, he allegedly contacted a person whom he believed could help with the assassination plot. That unnamed contact later reported Mr. Merchant to the police. Now, organizers of 3 Taylor Swift concerts in Vienna this week called them off on Wednesday after officials announced arrest over an apparent plot to launch an attack on an event in the Vienna area, such as the concerts. Taylor Swift was scheduled to play at the Austrian capital on Thursday, Friday and Saturday as part of her Eras tour. Event organizers said in a post on its Instagram channel late Wednesday that, and I quote, "We have no choice but to cancel the 3 scheduled shows for everyone's safety." Earlier Wednesday, Authorities said they had arrested 2 suspected extremists, one of whom appeared to be planning an attack on an event in the Vienna area, such as upcoming concerts. The 19-year-old main suspect was arrested south of Vienna and the second person in the Austrian capital. And with that, we are slipping into a very short break.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene. Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone.
Now, a dejected Vinesh Phogat has announced her retirement from wrestling Phogat states, wrestling one match against me, I lost. Your dreams and my courage are shattered. I don't have any more strength now. Goodbye wrestling from 2001 to 2024. I will forever be in debt to all of you. Sorry. This comes after Vinesh Phogat was disqualified from the Paris Olympics and stripped of her medals hours before her historic gold medal bout after failing to meet the weigh-in on Wednesday morning. Now, the Indian grappler has announced her retirement and said that she will no longer play for India. The Indian wrestler was, remember, 100-gram overweight, and now she has appealed against her disqualification in the Court of Arbitration for Sports and demanded that she be awarded a joint silver medal after being forced out for being 100-gram overweight in the morning weigh-in. The 29-year-old had become the first Indian female wrestler to advance to the finals of the Olympic Games and assure herself at least a silver medal in women's 50 kg. However, she was found overweight in the mandatory weigh-in on the morning of her bout and was disqualified from the event despite the best efforts by her coaches, support staff and the Indian Olympic Association. Now, the court will reply to Vinesh in the morning at around 11:30 a.m. today, and if the court rules in Vinesh's favor, then she will be awarded a joint silver. All eyes will be on the court's verdict. And don't go anywhere, we are slipping into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India